This is the guided read along for Earth and Space. The assignment was assigned for Monday, April 27th with the vocabulary and the comprehension questions. Please make sure all are submitted. I will read through the story with you to help you. You may also find it at mygconnect.com. You can follow along on there if you choose to, or read it independently on there. Earth and Science, or Earth and Space. This is a science article and journal. A science article is nonfiction, which means it's real. It gives facts about the natural world. A journal expresses someone's observations and feelings about a topic. An author writes a science article to inform you about a topic, so you will read a lot of facts. But a journal is written to express, so you will find out what an author was thinking or feeling during the experience. So, kind of like our appeal to emotion, you get inside his head a little bit with the facts. Kind of coincides with our English persuasive essay writing for the week. We will do, from the beginning of time, humans have been asking questions about our universe. For centuries, scientists have wondered how Earth might compare to other planets. More than 50 years ago in the United States, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, which is called NASA, began planning the first explorations of space. Today, astronauts from many different countries work together on the International Space Station, the ISS. It is a huge research facility in space where astronauts work to improve life on Earth and learn about our solar system. Life in space is very different from on Earth. Many activities that we take for granted on Earth include eating, sleeping, and even breathing work differently in space. Some NASA astronauts have written journal entries for their families and friends back home about life in space. These true accounts, these true stories describe what astronauts experience in space. Compare life in space and on Earth as you get facts and read journal entries from astronauts. You might even discover some similarities. Remember, you did your vocabulary before, so these bolded yellow words are words that you wrote 3 times, wrote your definition, and used them in a sentence. On Earth and in science, how strong is gravity? On Earth, we experience a force that pulls us to the ground. The force is called gravity. It is probably not something that you think about too much. Yet, without gravity, we would all float away into the atmosphere. Everything from walking, riding a bike, driving a car, or sleeping in bed is possible because of gravity. Our strong skeletons support our bodies against the pull of Earth's gravity. In space, the force of gravity is so weak that a feeling of weightlessness results. Astronauts use the word microgravity to describe the lack of gravity in space. Here's how one NASA astronaut recounts his experience. Ed Lou, you fly everywhere. You don't walk. That is a lot of fun, but we do spend a lot of time exercising since microgravity has eliminated the need for crew members to walk. Our muscles and bones would atrophy during a 6-month tour of duty because of a lack of use, so that they would shrink and stop working, and then they came back to Earth and they couldn't walk. While I am doing all of this exercising, I enjoy listening to music from the space station's large CD collection. That's funny because we don't really use CDs anymore. Many different things happen to the human body while in space because of microgravity. Your blood shifts from your lower body to the top. Because of this, astronauts may appear to have puffy heads. Fortunately, their heads go back to normal size upon returning to Earth. Astronauts also get a little bit taller during long stays in space. The absence of gravity allows your spine to stretch slightly. Pretty interesting facts. Where's the oxygen? On Earth, our environment is made up of a perfect mixture of elements to sustain life. Oxygen is one of the most important of those elements. When you take a breath, what happens? You can feel air going into your body through your nose or your mouth. You can't see it, but it's there in the air. We breathe because our bodies need oxygen in the air. Oxygen is like food for our blood. We need it to survive. In space, there's no oxygen. Because of this, astronauts do not breathe the same as they do on Earth. They have to breathe with the help of protective spacesuit and the supplies that supplies them with oxygen. A human being would not survive on a spacewalk for more than a minute or two without a spacesuit. Compared to getting dressed on Earth, which takes a few minutes, putting on spacesuit takes 45 minutes. The astronaut must then spend lots of time breathing only pure oxygen before going outside the space station. This process is called pre-breathing. Without a spacesuit, we would not be able to survive. On Earth, as in space, people have oxygen in their blood. People also have another element in their blood called nitrogen. On Earth, it takes up 78% of the air we breathe. The gas is harmless when we breathe it on Earth. In space, however, breathing nitrogen could cause air bubbles in the blood and be very painful. The pure oxygen that astronauts take in during pre-breathing flushes all of the nitrogen out. Sunita Williams explains this process in her journal. In order to go out the door of the ship safely, we go through a pretty thorough process called pre-breathing. In space, if you have nitrogen in your blood, it creates air bubbles. This can cause serious pain. To breathe safely in a spacesuit, there can only be oxygen in your blood. To do this, we spend time breathing in only pure oxygen. We can't get medical care to help us out, so in this line of work, we need to try and eliminate this kind of pain caused by air bubbles in your blood. And they have a delicious picture of all their food, except it's all in freezer bags. What is food like? What's the food like? Whether in space or on Earth, food is necessary for life. It gives a person's body the nutrients needed to be strong and healthy. The difference between food on Earth and in space is the way it is stored and prepared. On Earth, food is prepared to be delicious. Think of all your favorite foods. On Earth, we store our food in a freezer, refrigerator, or cupboard. Some foods, such as bowls of fresh fruit, can be set on the counter. In space, foods are individually packaged for easy handling or microgravity. Most food is pre-cooked or processed. It requires no refrigeration and is either ready to eat or can be prepared simply by adding water or by heating it. The only exceptions are that fresh fruit and veggies stowed in fresh food locker. Without refrigeration, many of these must be eaten within the first 2 days of the flight or they will spoil. In his journal, astronaut Michael Lopez Elgria explains more about food in space. The food aboard the International Space Station is plentiful and tasty, considering the obstacles in our paths. We have no refrigerator. We go long periods of time without being able to refill our pantry, and everything we eat is by necessity pre-cooked. Food comes in a variety of forms. Dehydrated food, or food that is dried out, is packaged in plastic containers or bags. The containers or bags are made so that we can easily add hot or cold water. Once you add the water, you shake up the container. Next thing you know, you have a plate of food, good food in front of you. Another form is called thermostabilized. This just means that it is packed in a foil pouch. This type of food is like canned food you might find in a grocery store. So once again, here's a picture of the delicious food. When is dinner? Hang in there, guys. We got when is dinner and time to sleep pages. We're almost done. Meal times on Earth are often special times. When families or friends gather together to share a meal, they are able to relax, have fun, and share stories about life. Your family might share a holiday dinner or maybe meet your friends in the school cafeteria for lunch. Meals are a great way to connect with each other. Here's what Michael Lopez Alguria writes about meal times in space. We usually pause for about 1 hour midday to have our meal together and almost always have dinner together. Meals are our primary social time. One truly bright spot in our menu is food that is sent up from our families or friends in bonus containers or care packages. It's just as you might see it in the store. There is one big difference between mealtime in space and on Earth. The plates stay on the table compared to what Ed Lou writes about in eating in microgravity. See the plates on the table? Here, they're floating. We don't have a real kitchen up here, but we do have a kitchen table. You might wonder what's the use of a table if you can't set anything down on it. But we have bungee straps or Velcro on the table top, so you can keep your food container, spoon, napkins, etc. from floating away. See all the little squares of Velcro? Okay, one more. Time to sleep. On Earth, we need to go to sleep every night to rest our bodies and gain energy for a new day. Getting a good night's sleep is essential to our health and well-being. On Earth, most people sleep in a bed that is soft and comfortable. In space, it is necessary for astronauts to go to sleep every night in order to rest their bodies and stay healthy. Most astronauts even sleep about the same amount of time in space as they do on Earth. But because of microgravity, the way astronauts sleep is very different from the way we sleep. There is nothing weighing down the astronauts' bodies in space because there's very little gravity. That's why astronauts have to strap themselves into a special sleeping bag that hangs from the wall. The sleeping bags have straps that press astronauts to a soft surface and a pillow. Yet most astronauts actually like to sleep floating in the air with only a couple of straps to keep them from bouncing around in the cabin. In addition to special sleeping bags, astronauts may need to wear blindfolds to protect them from strong sunlight that streams in the windows during orbit in space. In her journal, Joan Higginbotham explains how sleeping in space is different from sleeping on Earth. Everyone thinks that it must be difficult to sleep in space because they imagine there to be a lot of noise. There is a lot of noise on the shuttle, but not so much that it makes it uncomfortable to sleep. You can hear the fans whirling, the cabin fans that actually help clean the air. I actually sleep without earplugs. Some of my crewmates did use earplugs, but it wasn't noisy enough that it disturbed their sleep. So in this picture, this guy's sleeping outside in his sleeping bag, and these guys are sleeping in their sleeping bag, strapped in with some blindfolds, sleeping soundly. Sorry, I lied a little bit. We have one more page. As you can see, astronauts move, breathe, sleep, and eat differently in space than they do on Earth. Astronauts are willing to trade the routines they are used to on Earth to travel in space because they have an important job. Astronauts are exploring the unknown world so future generations can benefit from what they learn. This special mission outweighs some of the dangers and difficulties astronauts experience in space. No place like home. Exploring the unknown world of space is an exciting adventure. On the other hand, most astronauts will tell you how excited they are to go home to Earth after their mission is over. Clayton Anderson explains, I am often asked just what it is I miss the most up here. First and foremost, of course, is my wonderful family. I also miss some significant physical things. For example, sometimes as I daydream, I envision a soft breeze from Galveston Bay and the warm rays of summer sun, or the smell of freshly cut grass amid the sound of all the neighborhood lawnmowers. Take for granted being in a different environment, and we've all adjusted currently to changing the way that we live and the things that we get to experience. They will all come back soon enough, so hang in there, stay home, and stay safe. Please get all of your work done and submit all of your completed assignments to your teacher for credit. Miss you guys. Thanks for your hard work.